Well, hello there, and welcome to CityLine. It is great to be in your home. We are zooming from my kitchen, and we have a great hour ahead of us. Later on, we'll be talking with the Southend Neighborhood Council, also known as SENCO, and they have an event that will make Tacoma sparkle again, so you definitely want to hang around to hear about that. Workforce Central is here to talk about a new certification that they have, as springtime always means changes, and if you're looking for some new training to add to your personal inventory, you definitely want to hang out for that. Washington State Historical Society presents the Negro Motorist Green Book. This is an exhibit that we currently have in our fair city, and you definitely want to learn about this and take yourself down there in person. And then with me now is the Grand Cinema, and they are here to talk about, can you believe it? Their 25th birthday. So please join me in welcoming Ernest Jasmine. You are the marketing manager for the Grand Cinema. Welcome back, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Good to be back.
It's good to have you here. And you brought with you a woman that I don't get to see much anymore because all of you are doing your jobs. And so therefore, she doesn't need to be in an interview, but I'm so glad she's here now. I'm talking about Rachel Markle. You are the Director of Community Development for the Grand Cinema. Rachel, it's good to see you, my dear.
Great to see you too, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And then with you and with us is this handsome man, fifth row center, Paul Richter. You are the education director for the Grand Cinema. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amanda. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you here. And I've never seen the seats behind you so quiet. So you must have shushed the audience very well, as we say.
I did my best. Yeah, we were supposed to have a showing and I said, nope, for Amanda, everybody get out.
That's right.
A dozen people very upset, but it was worth it.
Okay, good. So Ernst, let's start with you. There's a big milestone. I kind of announced it at the beginning here, but I want to hear it from your mouth. How old is the Grand?
The Grand Cinema in April turns 25 years old. So for the last quarter century, this has been ground zero for independent film, local film, international film in Tacoma. You can drink when you're 21, so I guess we can legally rent a car or something.
There we go. That works. I just have such a hard time believing that it's 25 years only, because the Grand has that feeling of they have been around since dirt. They are so integrated into our community that I can't even comprehend that it's only 25 years. So, Ernest, how are we going to celebrate?
Well, for starters, we're having a big birthday party. We're inviting people to come down to our newly renovated Grand Lounge from 2 to 4 p.m. on April 16th. We're going to have our executive directors going to say a few words. People are going to share memories, and most importantly, free cake. You can load up on free cake. That's always nice. And on the 18th, which is our actual birthday, we're having our free member movie day. So if you're a member, it's not too late. You can sign up today and get this deal. You can watch free movies all day. You don't have to leave, just free movies all day. Pretty nice perk. And I guess the last thing I should mention is that we're a nonprofit, so we have kind of a fundraiser that we're doing. If you watched the Oscars the other day, all those big winners, most of those movies you could only see in Tacoma at the Grand Cinema. So if you appreciate that kind of programming, we're asking people to donate to our $25 for 25 years campaign. You can do that in person next time you drop by, or you can go to our website, which is at grandcinema.com.
Okay, I think you have covered everything from cake to how we continue to fund this jewel here in Tacoma. Rachel, you, amidst this company, I think, have been with the Grand Cinema and all of its goodness for the longest, first off, Rachel, how long have you been at the Grand Cinema?
I believe it's been 15 years, which blows my mind thinking about that too. I'm like, wow, I've been a part of this for a long time. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it has been. So when you think about some of those moments, and certainly those memorable moments, what comes to mind from your time there?
Well, you kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning. One of the amazing things is how much our staff has grown. Obviously, one of the most amazing things about the Grand Cinema is that we have a volunteer base that's huge. And that's always been a foundation of who we are and why people love to come and buy popcorn, right? Not only is it the best popcorn, but you get to meet these friendly, amazing volunteers. But on top of that, now our staff has grown. We've been able to provide a lot of amazing things for our community, which is, again, very, very important. Included in some of those things I just wanted to kind of outline is we opened a fourth theater. A lot of people don't understand that we only had 3 theaters when I started, and now we have 4. And we did that in December of 2009. Our actual birthday is April 18th, and that was in 1997. And another piece of information that some might not know is that the Grand actually was a for-profit in the beginning. And the April 18th, 1997 is the date that we opened as a nonprofit. So that was also a really big deal. In 2013, we had to make the conversion to digital theater. Again, huge process. Both the fourth theater and the digital campaign both required some really heavy fundraising, which again, we have this amazing community, which goes back to the we've only been around for 25 years. Wow, it feels like we've been around for 50 because of the community support and the continual love that we receive from the community. And we hope that everyone feels that we give it back. And that's why we do those things at a theater. Ernest mentioned in his opening that we just remodeled our lounge area. So now we have a very inclusive, welcoming space for everyone. These are all just really super fun, important things. And then, of course, other memorable moments, we hosted Leonard Maltin. We've had John Ratzenberger. We have had, through our 25 New Faces, we've had some amazing directors that now we're seeing on the screen. One of my personal favorites is Julia Garner, who is in Ozark. And if you watch Netflix, then you also saw her in Inventing Anna. She was in Tacoma. It's just really humble for me and our staff and the things that we're able to provide that have hopefully been memorable for everyone.
Oh, I think if I were a reporter on the street and I were to ask for a memorable moment from just passerbys about the Grand, the stories would be endless. Absolutely endless. From standing in line just to get popcorn with all of our masks on, and suddenly this lit up space monster comes around the corner. It's those kind of love is in the details that makes the Grand feel like home. It hasn't all been, rainbows and sunshines. There's been some big challenges. The fact that we're even having this conversation and you are still in existence, let's just put that out there right now. But Rachel, when you think about those things that you'll never forget, that you thought, am I going to make it through this? What comes to mind?
Well, of course, the last 2 years have been a huge challenge. It was honestly very emotional. We had our volunteer party back in November, and it was kind of the first time we realized this is amazing. We missed this so much. We had to close for a year. We opened back up in April, and now here we are in April, looking at April very soon. And then we get to celebrate this birthday. It's all extremely emotional on so many levels, and that's challenging in and of itself, just the feelings along with everything that we've had. I talked about our digital campaign. Transferring from 35 millimeter to digital cinema was a huge challenge. mostly financial, but also just it changed our process and how a movie theater runs. And then, of course, you know, we have the challenges with the streaming and those types of things. But the beautiful thing about independent film is that it is an experience. And I believe truly most people love to come to the Grand in person, excuse me. And we're starting to see that. It's going to take time. But we're just so grateful for all the support of our community and that we continue to see that. Those that aren't comfortable in coming in have been donating. Those that are comfortable to come in are coming. And we respect and honor all of those movements. And, you know, we're just really looking forward to hopefully an amazing summer. And really this birthday means a lot in so many ways because of that. So I hope that lots of people can come out on the 16th and help celebrate with us.
Absolutely. So, Paul, we're going to talk about science on the screen here in just a second because the Grand is synonymous with education. Beyond the birthday party, Rachel, what can fans look forward to in 2022?
Oh my goodness. Well, one of my favorite things is our outdoor movie series. We rolled that out last year, right when we opened in April. That was a huge undertaking by our entire staff. It was fun. So we were able to do our first screening with Tacoma Pride, which was amazing. We did it in Wright Park, and so this year I'm excited to announce what we'll have for that. And then our 253 film competition's coming up again. That's going to be in May. You can actually sign up to be a filmmaking team right now. And so our traditional programs are coming back. And then we've got new ones too. And I'll let Paul speak to those a little bit more.
Yeah, Mr. Paul. Paul, let's talk about Science on Screen. Great name. What is it?
Science on Screen is one of my all-time favorite things that the Grand has done. And it is a program that's run here at the Grand in partnership with the National Science on Screen organization. And the sort of elevator pitch of Science on Screen is that we show cult classic films or beloved sci-fi films, or it doesn't even have to be a sci-fi film, just movies that we love to watch. And we pair them with a scientist or expert in a specific field who can talk to something related to that film. For example, just very recently, we showed the film The Fifth Element, and we had Dr. Athena Brewer, who is a cell developmental expert. Her official scientific title, I don't recall because science is very much not my forte. But she was a professor from Pacific Lutheran University who came out to speak, and her presentation was called "Can You 3D Print a Person?" And she talked about all of the developments in science for 3D cell and tissue printing that is really happening. And then we got to watch this movie where essentially they 3D print Mila Jovovich so that she can go beat up Gary Oldman and all of the alien bad guys in that film. And it was really fun. We have one coming up in April that will be showing the classic film Children of Men. And we will have a political science professor, Michael Artime, who is actually the chair of the political science department at PLU. And he'll be speaking about something I think we can all probably relate to as having lived through it the last several years, democracy in times of crisis, and how our political structure sort of changes in times of extreme conditions.
I love that. So, Paul, in addition to Science on the Screen, you have a film camp, and as Rachel mentioned, the outdoor movies. Are all of those still on tap for this summer?
Absolutely, they are. I'm very excited. We'll be bringing back our annual Grand Cinema Film Camp this summer, targeted toward youth again. We're going to have 3 weeks. We've got the dates announced up on our website. It's my goal to have registration open for those very soon, hopefully by just the beginning of April. It's going to be an awesome opportunity. If you haven't been involved with it before, typically it's for our younger, late elementary to high school age clientele here at the Grand. It's an opportunity to learn about filmmaking, to work within groups and to express creativity and sort of explore the world of telling stories on film, hopefully to inspire lifelong filmmakers.
That's right. We're trying to find that budding Steven Spielberg in there someplace, or or that Jane Campion who's hiding out somewhere in Soda. Ernst, what's showing this week? What should we definitely hop down there for on a late afternoon with some popcorn?
Well, there's a couple I'm looking forward to personally. We've got a movie opening on Friday called All My Friends Hate Me. It's a British kind of a dark comedy about social anxiety gone way off the rails. I think it kind of turns into a horror film, but that one's got really good reviews. Then coming up, I think next week it's going to open one of the greatest action heroes.
Oh, we may have lost him due to technology, so we'll hang in there for just a second. Rachel, can you?
Oh, did you hear me?
You're back.
You were frozen for a second. I'm like, can they hear me at all? These great movies. I'm not sure how much of that you heard, but a big one that I think everyone is looking forward to. There's a lot of anticipation. Is Michelle Yeoh. Doctor Strange isn't the only person with multiverse problems this year. She's kind of hopping around time and dimensions in a thing called. Always have to look at the title. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. So that's coming up next week. That looks fun. What else? I think you've got some. Talk about the science on screen. We just have a lot of good programming. Oh, the Nicolas Cage movie. We're gonna have that one. That one looks pretty funny. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. That one's called. So
I love that. And if that's not enough, just I could have the popcorn every single day, and I have to be careful not to do that because let me tell you something. I just want to walk in, talk to the volunteers, grab some popcorn, and then just go through every movie you have that day. So you're going to have to kick me out here very soon. Last question for all three of you as we talk about this wonderful 25th anniversary. I'm going to start with you first, Ernst, and then go to Paul, and then end with Rachel. 25 years, let's flash forward in time, and it's now the 50th anniversary of the Grand Cinema. What's the one thing the Grand Cinema will be known for, Ernst?
Oh, I don't know if I can narrow it down to one. But hopefully, for starters, just quality cinema that you can't see anywhere else. I personally have seen some of my favorite movies at the Grand. No Country for Old Men, I'm Not Your Negro, about James Baldwin, just great films all the time and programs that enrich our community.
All right, Paul, what's that one thing?
I would love the Grand to be a gathering place for the community where we come together to watch stories and share them with every part of the city of Tacoma.
I love that. And Rachel, close us out.
Close it out with that. I feel like the Grand is all about movies, but it's also so much more than movies. Kind of touches on both what Ernest and Paul said, is that we're a gathering space. We're more than just coming and watching the movie. You're going to get a full experience from, like you said, getting the popcorn from your volunteer, but that's only going to get bigger and better in the next 25 years. What exactly does that mean? My hope would be another movie theater, because we have so many movies we would like to show. Let's have more theaters, more film camps, more opportunities so that there's so much more for our community to come to. And in 25 years, maybe.
We can do this. We can. Thank you, all three of you, so much for being here today. And happy birthday to all three of you. Now, I do believe I have Whitney from the Pierce County Humane Society standing by. Whitney, who do you have with you that needs a forever home?
Hi, Amanda. This cute little guy here is Bandon. Bandon is a 6-month-old male bunny, and he is absolutely so sweet. He loves to run and play. I think he'd do really well as a house bunny. He'll actually run up to you and ask you for pets and attention once he gets to know you, which is definitely very nice, especially if you've got little kiddos around. If you're interested in adopting Bandon or any of our other bunnies or pets around the shelter, feel free to come on down to the shelter. We're located at 2608 Center Street, and our hours are 11 o'clock through 5:30 from Tuesday through Sunday. And if you want to check out who all's available before you come on in, check out our website at www.thehumanesociety.org. All of our animals will come with a microchip, as well as any necessary vaccines, wellness exams, and even pet care counseling and more. So if you want to come on down, we'd love to see you. Take care and have a good one.
Welcome back to CityLine. With me, I have an opportunity to talk with an individual from Workforce Central, and she is here to talk about a new training that is being offered. And let's just get into it. Please join me in welcoming Annika Trabucco. You are the Workplace Training Manager for Workforce Central. Welcome to CityLine.
Thank you so much for having me.
My dear, tell us about, before we get into this new opportunity, or perhaps an opportunity that's been there that we didn't know about, what your background is with Workforce Central, because we love Workforce Central. We have a lot of the wonderful people who work there on our show. So tell us about your role.
So my role is actually in helping establish some of these cohort trainings that are specific to industry demand jobs in the area. And so I've been with Workforce Central for a couple of years. And prior to that, I have been in workforce development in a variety of ways, mainly connected to the military, as my husband has retired from the Army. We settled here and I got connected to Workforce Central.
I love that.
A great place to be.
Sounds like a match made in heaven, my dear. So, all right, let's get to it. What is IHAP?
IHAP is the Introduction to Healthcare Education and Apprenticeship Program.
All right, and so how was IHAP developed?
This was actually developed in a partnership with several different entities, including the City of Tacoma, the Tacoma Housing Authority, in Workforce Central. And this is really in direct support of Mayor Woodard's Institute on Job Creation and Economic Opportunity to Improving Health and Equity. So that's a very long title, but it really is aimed at helping connect people that have barriers to employment with opportunities that help train in connection to the employment opportunities available in Pierce County.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So when we look at IHOP, is IHOP a CNA, or what is a CNA?
So a CNA is actually a certified nursing assistant, and this is somebody who has direct care for a patient. And this could be a variety of different tasks. It could be personal care, it could be in monitoring and taking vital signs, and also could be administering medications. So it's that person who's working directly with a patient in need of some healthcare assistance.
So go ahead. I interrupted you. Go right ahead.
The other piece that's very interesting with the CNA positions is there's a wide variety of schedules. And so it really opens the door for a lot of different folks that may have non-traditional schedules. So this could be full-time, could be part-time. This could be something where the shift is during the day, at night, a swing shift. It could be working for a few days in the week. It could be working 5 days a week. A wide variety of things there. And also just the place of work is also different because it could be in a hospital or urgent care facility. It could be in an assisted living facility, or it could be in a patient's home.
So to make the connection, once you take that course, you come out with a CNA certification. That's the connection we're making there.
Yeah, so the testing actually is done at the state level. So every state does have their own certification. And so this training is really in helping to prepare somebody to take that training.
That makes sense. So what is the cost to those taking this training?
So there is actually no fee associated with this training. What we're asking for is a person's time, their focus, and their willingness to learn. Really connecting with the folks that are wanting to get into healthcare. And so this is really a first step for that.
Boy, that is amazing. So, in addition to this being a training that's not going to cost anything in terms of money, what makes this training, let's say, different from other trainings that I could take someplace else?
So, like we mentioned, it does have the CNA certification test. It has some basic understandings and expectations of what happens in the healthcare field. But the other piece that we're connecting with this, and we work directly with the Workforce Central Business Solutions team, is assisting them with getting connected to businesses that are hiring. Because that's the important additional step, is not only in providing the training, but making that connection to a business, as well as there is the potential for continued tuition assistance in the medical field. For additional certifications, degrees, or things that lead towards job advancement, because this really is in helping create a career pathway, not just a specific job hire. We're really trying to help somebody develop their entire career.
It sounds like, especially when you're looking at those next steps of sustainability, it is certainly one thing to take a course and to walk away with some skills. It's quite another thing to take a course and then to also, in addition to the technical information, have people who are wanting to remove barriers for the next step of that job. And it sounds like that's what Workforce Central is doing with this training.
Absolutely. And this training is really a collaboration with multiple community organizations as well. So we actually have the Healthcare Apprenticeship Consortium, Seattle Jobs Initiative, the Clover Park Technical College, and our WorkSource Center partners all involved in this training, because it really is in not only helping somebody learn about it, get the training, but it's getting that connection and that continued advancement in their career. It really is important to help figure out what does that career pathway look like. So one of the things that's very interesting, and it was eye-opening to me because my background is not in healthcare, but being a CNA, you can go in and you can see what is out there in the healthcare field, because like some of the things that I learned, I had never even thought about before. So being a CNA can kind of open that door to see, being a medical assistant or being office administration, could be social work, human services, lab technician, physical therapy. And one that I really truly didn't think about was food and nutrition. While do I need to have a CNA to get into food and nutrition? Not necessarily. However, it gives me that background of the medical field of healthcare, and really helps show all the different ways of connection in this.
Absolutely. So in these last few minutes, let's get down to some what I would call the nitty-gritty details here. Okay. So who can take part in this training, number one, and then when does the training begin?
So this training is specifically set up for residents of the city of Tacoma who are eligible in WIOA. And WIOA is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which provides federal funding and guidelines in support of employment and training opportunities. So as you had mentioned before, it's really reaching out to folks who may have some barriers when it comes to employment. And some of the examples for this might be a dislocated worker, somebody that's coming into the area. It could be a service member transitioning out of the military, somebody who's been on, or who has had long-term unemployment, or possibly been utilizing some of the unemployment benefits. And we know that that's a lot of people in the last couple of years. We've had a very unique time in the last few years with us. And then the training itself begins on the 25th of April. This is something that is both virtual and in person. There are certain pieces that do have to be done in person. And if somebody isn't able to be a part of the April cohort, we do have a second one that will be starting in August as well.
Wonderful. Now, the other last question I have for you is, you mentioned businesses, because that's part of that second piece of the training is, let's talk about a career ladder here. So how can a business be a part of this?
That's a great question, because a business can be part of this in getting connected to our business team, in having some open job opportunities that connect to this training. This is also a way for businesses to help their own employees who may be looking at shifting what positions they're in kind of reskilling and upskilling their opportunities. So it isn't just necessarily for having a new employee, but also having their current employees learn some new skills.
Wonderful. And we've been showing the website below your beautiful face there this whole time, Annika. I want to say thank you so much for all that you've done for our community, for this opportunity, and of course, for really removing barriers and offering a chance for people to look at healthcare in a different way. So thank you so very much, my dear, and hope to have you back on the show real soon.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
You're more than welcome. We have much more to come on CityLine. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to CityLine. With me, I have two women who are here to talk about a phenomenal exhibit at the Washington State History Museum, and we are talking about the Negro Motorist Green Book. Remember that phrase. Please join me in welcoming Stephanie Johnson Tolliver. Stephanie, you are the president of the Black Heritage Society of Washington. Welcome, Stephanie.
Yes, thank you. Good to be here.
It's good to have you here, my dear. And you brought with you Gwen Whiting. Gwen, you are the lead exhibition curator at our beloved Washington State Historical Society. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
It's great to have you here. So let's get into this. So Gwen, this exhibit comes from the Smithsonian Institution Traveling Exhibition Service. As I mentioned in the open, it's called the Negro Motorist Green Book. So tell us, what exactly is the Green Book?
So the Green Book was a guidebook for Black travelers that provided a list of hotels, boarding houses, taverns, restaurants, gas stations, and other establishments throughout the country where they could go and count on service and that they would not be discriminated against. It was published during the years of Jim Crow America, so from 1936 to about 1967, when this discrimination was really widespread, although the publication itself did take a bit of a hiatus during the Second World War.
So give us some back information on who created the Green Book, and then how did it gain national presence, which is the bigger question.
So that's a really amazing story. The person who created the Green Book was a man named Victor Green, who was a postal carrier who lived in Harlem, New York. And Green had traveled throughout the country for his job and, on vacation, and, experienced an incredible amount of segregation and discrimination on his journeys. So he decided to do something about it by creating this guide to just let people know where it was safe to go, where it was safe to stay. And so he enlisted other postmen to make contact with Black entrepreneurs along the route and invite them to list in the Green Book, as well as sell the guide to the travelers. Now, it gained national presence because of Esso Standard Oil, which is now ExxonMobil. Esso hired James A. Jackson as a special representative to research the impact of Black consumers in America and to understand how to reach those audiences. Now, this happened in the 30s, and this was really revolutionary for the time because Jackson himself was a Black man. And at the time, Esso was one of the largest companies in the world. Victor Green came into contact with Jackson, and he saw an opportunity. So the two of them together devised a plan to distribute the guide in stations across the country. So it went from being what was initially a local publication in New York to having a national and eventually global presence.
Wow, that is impressive. So I want to shift from that global presence, that last thing you said. And Stephanie, was the Green Book necessary as we look at Washington? And were there any Green Book sites, if it was necessary, in Tacoma or Seattle?
Yes. First, I want to say that the Green Book really did not erase the fears of the road, the travel, but it did relieve some of the anxieties, around the safe places that Gwen mentioned, and the welcoming places for Black people as they charted their way. The automobiles provided a certain amount of freedom to travel, but the term leisure travel was hardly relatable to Black people, I'd say, until sometime in the late 50s and 60s. Prior to that, Black people were mostly traveling to escape poor conditions, looking for better opportunities, jobs, and migrating south or north, not south.
Getting away from the South, yeah.
Yes. So yes, Washington State was unfamiliar territory. Folks traveled frequently who traveled east of the Mississippi knew pretty much what they could expect. The signals were blatant. I mean, keep moving, don't stop here. Northern states had their little nasties, what I refer to as the little nasties, where they created various levels of discomfort or unwelcome attitudes. There were even sundown towns were identified here in Washington State. So Tacoma had a list of hotels and several tourist homes, and there is one still standing on South Trafton in Tacoma. While in Seattle, it was more of a destination, to book with the book, and it had expanded lists of businesses, including the cafes, the gas stations.
So Stephanie, I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I don't want you to give too much away about the exhibition, because I want to listen forever, but I'm like, I'm so surprised here.
So yes, definitely Washington in that Green Book for a reason, for sure.
Oh, yeah, and it's that reason still exists today. Mm-hmm. It's just it's harder to identify at times, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are we going to see when we visit this exhibition? Are we going to actually see Green Books under glass?
You will, in fact, see original Green Books, and you will see also, you'll have the opportunity to sit down and actually page through reproduction Green Books from several different years. So if you're curious about what was in them, that'll be available to you. But the exhibit itself is actually really large. It takes up 2 galleries in the museum's 5th floor, and it includes everything from historical objects to photographs to home movies to oral histories. And you'll also get the opportunity to see what happened to these Green Book sites, how they looked then and what they look like today. Many of the sites, unfortunately, have fallen into disrepair and no longer exist. Another really interesting part of the exhibition is that there is an interactive that'll give you an opportunity to plot your own journey, either with or without the Green Book as you choose, and to find out how that choice to use the Green Book would affect the way that you traveled and what that looks like.
Interesting. So Stephanie, in addition to this exhibition, you're bringing some big names to Tacoma here that we want to showcase. You've brought Yoruba Richin and Candace Taylor, who is coming in May. Can you tell us about the event with Candace? Who is she and what is her relationship to this exhibition?
Right. There are a number of really fabulous programs that are aligned to the exhibition. But I would say that, first of all, it's the Washington State History Museum that made this possible, made this special guest appearance possible. And BHS was working to coordinate a pre-talk opening with the African American Writers Alliance. So I would call this the main event out of all of them. Candace Taylor is a writer, a published author, documentarian, and Green Book scholar. whose interest in the Green Book has taken her on this journey of deep discovery. And in her book, she details and shares, her experiences, the Overground Railroad, the Green Book, and the roots of Black travel in America. The Smithsonian collaborated with her for this exhibition, in Tacoma. So we're really looking forward to her being this headline for a free public program on Thursday, May 19th. There are all the details about times and flow of program on the museum's website. And she even has a young adult adaptation to her book. She's going to be signing books, which is really exciting. And the opening act, again, what I call the opening act, are these fabulous African-American writers who are responding and inspired by her book.
Oh, I love that. Boy, that's just an invitation to greatness right there. So in this last minute, we've been showing the website below both of your beautiful faces where people can go to get more information and also get logistics about hours and everything else. I want to find out, is this Green Book, it started in 1936 and it stopped in 1967. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. But why did the publication come to an end before I have to say goodbye to both of you?
Well, the publication of the Green Book came to an end with the passage of the Civil Rights Act. As legal segregation was put to an end, folks no longer saw the need for the publication of the Green Book. There's of course that didn't end segregation or discrimination in the United States. I do want to clarify that. And there were some unintended consequences of losing the Green Book in that in less than a decade after that act passed, half of the Green Book's Black-owned businesses closed due to government programs like urban renewal and the fact that these businesses had to compete with larger white-owned businesses that had supportive police, policymakers, and politicians. So the exhibition does acknowledge that and explains more about how that happened and encourages us to think about how we can support Black-owned businesses today.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much for being here today. Our time just flew by. Thank you for being the ones that heavy lifted this, for acknowledging this time in our history, and also helping us think about what our part is in those Green Book moments that we still have. So thank you both so much for being here. We have much more to come on CityLine. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back to CityLine. With me, I have two individuals who are here to make 253 even more prettier and sparkling than it already is. I'm talking about the Southend Neighborhood Council, and they are here to talk about Litter Free 253, which is a wonderful program that has been on a hiatus because of the pandemic, but it's back. Please join me in welcoming Andrea Haug. Andrea, you are the committee chair, and you are also the corresponding secretary for our beautiful Southend Neighborhood Council. Welcome to CityLine, my dear.
Oh, thank you so much, Amanda. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And with you, you brought the goddess of war, otherwise known as Athena, which I'm sure she can kick it up, this woman. Athena Brewer, you are the chair of the Southend Neighborhood Council. Welcome, my dear.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Great to have you here. So Athena, let's jump into it. I watch all of our city council meetings. Last night, I'm laying in bed watching on my iPhone, and Litter Free 253 comes up. And Mayor Woodard says, well, our town needs a little sprucing right about now. So what is Litter Free 253?
Well, Litter Free 253 is a super exciting way for the entire city to get involved, and a really tangible way that we can all come together to make our city even cleaner and better than it is already. And we do need a little bit of work, and this is one way where we can come together and get it done.
Absolutely, and especially after that rough winter we had. So, Andrea, this is the third annual Litter Free 253. As I mentioned, it was on hiatus, but refresh our memory. How did this event get started?
Well, originally it was born out of the West End Neighborhood Council. It was originally called Tacoma Cleanup or something along those lines, but they started working with Sam Lake in sustainability, and she came up with the name Litter Free 253, and it just kind of stuck. And last year, the West End Neighborhood Council was ready to pass the torch on to the Southend Neighborhood Council, and so that's kind of how it got started.
So I love that. So how did you get involved with Litter Free 253?
Well, I joined the Southend Neighborhood Council last year, and immediately after, the West End was looking for volunteers for their Litter Free 253 committee, and it seemed like a good fit. And so I joined the committee and helped plan last year's event, which was extremely successful. And when we found out they might not have the capacity to do it again this year, we were all about jumping in and continuing on with the good work they have started.
Absolutely. So Athena, let's put some tangibles to this. What was the impact made during the last Litter Free 253 event?
So we're hoping to beat it this year. We'll just start off with that. But the last year we did Litter Free 253, we collected 10 tons of garbage with over 600 volunteers. So this is a challenge to Tacoma to come out and beat those numbers this year.
That is impressive. Oh my goodness. So, Andrea, when we think about it's beautiful outside, it's springtime, our coronavirus rates are lower than they have ever been, according to our Pierce County update this morning. People have lots of things they want to get out and do. So what makes this event different from perhaps other litter events that they might have on their calendar?
Well, this event is different. One, because we have 29 locations around the city where we'll have dumpsters and you can pick up supplies. So you can either choose to clean up in the area of the dumpster location, or you can pick up supplies and go back to your own neighborhood and do your cleanup. And then when you're done, return the garbage to the dumpster. It's also different than other events because it's more of a grassroots effort. I would say that it's volunteers on the street. It doesn't have the feel of a corporate event. It's very warm and inviting, and people of all ages and abilities can actually participate in this.
Well, and the results are so tangible too, because whether you're picking up your own neighborhood or you're picking up a neighborhood where you have family that you meet once a week for family dinner, either way, it's really a tangible thing to do. And within that tangibility, for me, evokes a feeling of hope and progress. And I like to see tangible, shiny things outside my window that are being done. So Athena, tell us who can participate and how do we go about doing this?
So anyone can participate, and we have places for any level of participation and ability for this event, and the entire city is welcome to come out and join us. You can go to litterfree253.org and find out more information. You can also go to the Senco website, senco253.org, and sign up for a team, any one of the 29 areas. You don't have to do it in your area if you don't want to. You can traverse the city if you want. You can pick up litter wherever you see it. We're just going to really tackle the city from all directions, and with as many Tacomans as we can gather. So we welcome you all to join us for this exciting event.
I love that. So we are coming out of a time where supplies, special equipment, even just to go out of the house, you know, the masks that we wore for almost 3 years. So it leads me down the road of the question, Athena, is there any special equipment or supplies needed to participate? If people are concerned about wearing a mask or they want gloves, how do we go about, I guess, tearing down those barriers?
That's a great question. So we have had amazing community support thus far. We've raised over $6,000. As you mentioned, the City Council, thank you again to them for the $2,500 last night in support. So what we're doing with that funding is purchasing litter grabbers. And so, so you don't have to bend down and pick up the litter. It's, you know, easier on your back to have a grabber. It's just more conducive to picking up more litter and showing up at these 29 locations. We will also have grabbers available, and people can take them home and then continue to pick up litter. And the city is going to provide all of the bags and gloves, and we have masks. And so we have everything you need. You just bring yourself and your exciting energy and your willingness to help clean up the city, and we will we'll get you everything you need to do that.
Oh, I love that. Andrea, you are the poster child of, I was at one event, I loved it, and it inspired me to go out again. So this question is for you. How can people stay involved with cleanup litter after the event?
Well, first and foremost, I always suggest going to our Litter Free 253 Facebook page. We will share our litter events as well as other groups, community groups. We invite everyone to share their pickups. Also, you can email us at litterfree253@gmail.com. If you're looking for a litter pickup, if you want to figure out how to join your local Adopt-A-Spot or join the neighborhood litter patrol, we can connect you to the city services that you need. Call to haul is great just for getting rid of excess garbage on your own personal property. Everyone knows the wind blows, so something might be on your property and one wind gust carries it out into the street. So definitely keeping private property clean at all times is very helpful. People can participate just by keeping your recycle bin and garbage can closed and making sure your lid stays closed. There's just a lot of simple little things that you can do. Take a 2-minute walk in front of your house, pick up anything that's in front of your curb. If you just make that part of your routine to go get the mail, the impact is really bigger than you think. And it's a really small amount of time that you invest in keeping just your curbside area clean.
Spoken like somebody who walks the talk, sister. You are a walking resource. So I thank you so much for that. We have been showing the website and the information below where people can go to get more information and to get this on their calendar. Thank you both so much for making our beautiful grit city pretty, as the poster says behind Andrea, a pretty gritty city. So thank you so much for that. And hope to have you back on soon with more beautifying tips for our fabulous city. Well, that wraps up another great segment of CityLine. It is always a pleasure and a privilege to be in your home. We've given you some really wonderful things to think about in this past hour. So go out there, be a part of the tapestry, pay it forward. And when you come back, as always, we'll be waiting for you right here at CityLine. Take care.
You're from Atlanta, but Tacoma's where you'll stay. Alright, you're from the easy. Alright, you're from Green Bay. Alright, you're from Atlanta, but Tacoma's where you'll stay. Yeah, Tacoma, that's my home. From the pines to the dawn. Tacoma, that's my home. Yeah, Tacoma, that's my home. Tacoma, that's my home. Place I call my own. Tacoma, that's my home. Yeah, Tacoma, that's my home. Alright, you're from the East Coast. Alright, you're from the West. Alright, you're from the middle, but Tacoma's still the best. Alright, the best head. Come on, that's my home. From the pines to the dawn. Come on, that's my home. Yeah, to come on, that's my home. Come on, that's my home. Place I call my own. Come on, that's my home. Yeah, to come on, that's my home. Come on, that's my home. From the pines